Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss Married to Medicine, Season 8, Episode 5. This episode was solid. Nothing major happened. We did see the return of some old faces. We'll get into that later on, I promise you, because I have quite a few things to say about that. But before we get started, I had to let you know that the merchandise has dropped. If you didn't know, now you know that my But I Digress coffee mugs are up for sale. If you would like to purchase one, feel free to click the link down in the description box and get you a But I Digress mug, okay? So when you're drinking your coffee or your tea or whatever beverage that you desire, it's like you're gonna be drinking it with me, you know what I'm saying? You having a cute little sip with some little shade. With all that being said, let's hop right on into it because we don't have a minute to spare. The episode starts off with Simone. She's in the car and she's on the phone with Toya. Toya is letting her know that she is just over the drama, and she's definitely referencing Heavenly because we all know in last week's episode, her and Heavenly got into it really badly, okay? Toya then goes on to say that Eugene is actually going to be home this weekend, and because of that, she wants to have a little turn up and invite folks with good energy. She lets it be known that she is going to be inviting Simone, Anila, and Lisa, Nicole, and Kari. Now, I said Kari is a true blast from the past because she was season 1 and done. I think it's really weird that Kari and Lisa Nicole are coming back. It's just like, we don't need y'all on this show. Like, you guys were so 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. I didn't really care for Kari season 1, and I could not stand Lisa Nicole when she was on. I'm still holding a slight grudge for her throwing water in Quad's face. I feel like she didn't face the consequences for that because that was completely out of line. There's just something very unsettling about Lisa Nicole. I think that she's weird. There's just something not quite right. And she has always given me a wannabe and a social climber. But I said, the fact that her and Toya get along, it says so much. 2 peas in a pod. But again, let me just get on with it. Simone is like, sounds good, I'll be there. So next we see Toya and Eugene. Toya is trying to call the boys because their house is so big that she can't find them. So she's calling them like, hey, where are you? One of her boys is in the playroom. So she's like, okay, cool. FYI, we have some friends coming over. So, you know, just be on your P's and Q's. We see Eugene cooking. He's making some oysters. Oh my gosh, when I tell you, I need a man who can cook because cooking is not in my wheelhouse, okay? I am a take out, go out to eat kind of girl, all right? I can make things look pretty. But I said, Eugene really knows how to throw down in the kitchen. Like, he was really going all out. Like, you saw he was making that pizza. I was drooling like, oh my gosh, like, I want some. But again, I digress. So we see everybody trickle in one by one. Cecil and Simone get there. They're excited. Cecil's hanging out with Eugene in the kitchen. And then we see Kari. Toya is really excited that Kari is there. She has still been keeping in touch with her. Then we see Lisa Nicole show up, and we find out that Toya and Lisa Nicole only live 2 miles away from each other. So they're damn near neighbors, and they have been keeping in touch for the past few years. I was like, you would still be in touch with Lisa Nicole of all people. Like, really? Lisa Nicole? Again, I just do not like her. There's something very unsettling about her spirit, especially all the mess in her marriage with that cheater. What was his name? Darren. There's just something off about her. And she had no storyline with those ugly clothes and those silly women's empowerment luncheons that she was always trying to do. So the ladies all go to the pool and everybody is complimenting Toya on how beautiful her house is. So anyhow, they're by the pool, they're just joking, having a key. Toya decides to bring up the fact that Lisa Nicole used to be in their friend group many moons ago, but she was chased out the group. I don't remember it that way at all. I'm not here for the revisionist history, and I'm also not here for them trying to make it like Lisa Nicole is the victim. Lisa Nicole was nasty and rude and crazy like the rest of them are. So to act like she was chased out of the group, stop it. So now the ladies get in the pool. They're just having a good time. They're talking, they're joking around. We see Cecil and Eugene in the kitchen. They're catching up, talking. We see the men feeding the ladies. And I was cracking up when Cecil was like, can we get some of this food? Can we get a piece too? And they were just like, sure. So they're eating and just laughing, having a good time. And then I don't know what happened, but all of a sudden we see Simone's wig come off. And they were like, oh my gosh. I was cracking up like, girl. I said, Simone, really? I said, girl, you should have put some good wig glue or something, child. Like, you should have held onto the wig when you went down. Like, oh my gosh. But, child, you see Simone's wig just floating, okay? It is done. She's just going to have her wig cap and her braids showing for the rest of the night. I was cracking up like only Simone. So next we see Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa's practice. And Dr. Scott is there and we see that Eugene and Dr. Damon are paying him a visit because they just want to see the practice and just talk and catch up. So Scott is giving them a tour of the office and they're like, wow, this is really amazing. This is really cool. And they're just, you know, laughing and joking. May I just say that Dr. Damon's Mercedes was everything. I was like, oh, I need that. I said, oh, I need that same exact Mercedes that Dr. Damon pulled up in, okay? Got my entire life. I said, yes, sir, I know that's right. So then we flip on over to Contessa, and she's at home with her kids and Scott's niece. And so she starts talking to Scott's niece, and she's just saying that she's not happy. Their marriage is really on the rocks. Their marriage has not progressed in 10 years. It's still the same. The niece is like, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. You know, like, why do you think that is? Like, what's going on? Contessa lets us know that Scott wants her to be happy with just being a mom and a wife. Like, he doesn't want her to have all these other ambitions or all these other dreams, and she's just really upset and she feels stifled by it pretty much. Contessa's going on about how she would like to go back into therapy because they really do need help. So now we flip back over to Dr. Scott, and Eugene has left, and now it's just Dr. Scott and Dr. Damon. And as much as I get on Dr. Damon for being so quiet or so like reserved at times, he really did give some sound advice to Scott. He just said that he lets Heavenly be heavenly, and Scott needs to let Contessa be Contessa and follow her dreams and just follow her bliss. He was just saying that if you don't allow your wife to grow and flourish, she's going to end up resenting you, and you don't want that. So it seemed like Scott was taking it all in. Personally, I've said this in like every single recap. I feel like Scott and Contessa are playing at their marriage for a storyline, and I'm also just not that interested in them. I personally find Scott and Contessa to be very boring, and this can honestly be their last season, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about them and their marital woes because I'm just not interested, quite frankly. So next, we see a short scene with Dr. Jackie and Dr. Heavenly having some lunch. Dr. Jackie remarks how she feels like she's cheating because she used to always grab lunch with Simone. Heavenly brings up how she wants Simone and Jackie to get back together because it's really just killing her that they're on the outs. Heavenly says, I want you to call Simone right now. Like, y'all can't let 20 years of friendship go by the wayside because of some silliness. So Dr. Jackie reluctantly calls up Dr. Simone, and Dr. Simone was very chilly on the other end. She was kind of like, hey, like, what's up? Like, pretty much like, girl, why you calling me? And Dr. Jackie says, I would love to meet up with you to discuss our friendship. And Dr. Simone is being very cold, just saying, well, we can talk, but I don't know if it's going to go in the direction that you want it to go in, but I'm open to talking to you. Dr. Jackie says, look, there's nothing worse than not trying. I'll take it. We will set up a date soon. Can't wait to talk. And Heavenly is happy that Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone spoke, but she also remarks at how Simone likes to make things more difficult than it has to be. Because Simone could have been a little more friendlier on the phone, in my opinion. She was just doing too much. I was like, girl, you were on the phone with Jackie like you're talking to a sworn enemy, not a friend of 20 years who you've just recently fallen on hard times with. So I didn't like how Dr. Simone was treating Dr. Jackie on the phone, but again, I digress. So next we see Anila. She is arriving at her dream home, meeting up with, I think, one of her contractors and her interior designer. So we see Kiran pull up, Anila's husband, and Anila's like, hey, babe, like, come, check out this room. We're going to be doing the lighting here. And the interior designer is making some remarks about the money and how they need their money to get back on track because their move-in date is supposed to be November 1st. So Kiran is like, look, I had 11 surgeries today. Like, I'm trying to get our money back on track, like flowing how it used to be. We find out that because of COVID, he was severely impacted because people weren't choosing to do elective surgeries. They were staying home. So he was out of work for 10 weeks. And because of that, they have suffered a true financial loss. So now we see the interior designer go off and Kiran and Anila start to argue. He's getting annoyed with her because she's pretty much acting delusional about their financial status. He's like, our original budget for this house was $1.7 million, and now we're at the $3 million mark. I'm like, that is a lot to be over budget by. It's one thing if you're over budget by a few $100,000. It's a completely different thing to be over budget by another $1.3 million. This scene really solidified that I'm really just not feeling you. You have that Toya and Sheree Whitfield syndrome. The fact that you were trying to act so unreasonable when your husband was like, look, we just don't have it, period, point blank. Like, I think that Anila is trying to keep up with the Joneses, and I think that it's very important for her to look like she is the richest one. Because I already peeped it when they said that they had expanded the house an extra 5,000 square feet. 9,000 square feet is already a huge home. So for you to make it 14,000 square feet, it's like, what? Are you trying to keep up with Toya? I think Toya's house is like 10,000 square feet. So for you to try to make it even bigger, I'm like, And the gag for you to expand the house, and now y'all don't even have the money for it to be finished. And it's feeling like y'all ran out of money to pay the contractors for them to finish it. Again, I think that their money is sort of funny. And I think that that was the reason why she wants to be on this show, because she's hoping to cash out with these Bravo checks so that they can finish paying for that house. Next, we see a short little scene of Toya giving Eugene a testosterone shot. I was like, didn't really want to see Eugene's bare behind on my screen, so we can just move right on along. So next we see Dr. Heavenly. She's in her office, and we see that her oldest son, Damon Jr., is joining her. We find out that he is graduating from Georgia State University, and he is a pre-med major, and he wants to be a dentist. So he is following in his mom's footsteps. So he is just shadowing her for the day, and we see that she is meeting back up with Miracle. Remember Miracle from last week's episode, or I think it was episode 3? But anyway, she was the young activist in Chicago who got her teeth knocked out by a police officer. Dr. Heavenly's just checking up on her, and I think she had to do like a few more things so that her smile would be just perfection. So she gets Miracle all together, and when I tell you, Miracle's smile looked fantastic. She looked brand new, okay? That smile was $1 million Colgate smile. And it was funny to see Dr. Heavenly trying to play matchmaker with her son and Miracle. She's saying, look at Miracle. She's the woman that you want. She's a Michelle Obama type and all this stuff. And I was just like, Heavenly, leave Miracle alone and leave your son alone, please. Like, enough. So now we move on to the final scene of the night, and it is Simone and her family. They are driving down to Cleveland, Tennessee, where Michael will be attending college on a basketball scholarship. So they are headed down. Simone's already getting emotional. She's in the car fussing because they took separate cars. Her boys drove down by themselves, and she's in the car with Cecil. So she's watching them like, y'all are going too fast on the highway. Like, slow down. Get out of the fast lane. And they're like, Ma, like, please. So we see Simone and Cecil just discussing Michael and his future at this college, because it's a small college in Tennessee where there's a lot of racism. And she's just hoping that he can adjust. And then we see Cecil in the confessional saying that they really would have loved to see Michael attend an HBCU because they both attended HBCUs. I know that Cecil attended Morehouse and Simone attended Spelman. So they really did want to see Michael attend an HBCU as well, but they didn't want to get in between him and his dreams of playing basketball. So then we see Simone discussing if she should check up on Michael while he's in school, because she checked up on her oldest boy, Miles, and she had no idea that he was falling behind in school. And by the time she did know, it was already too late because he had already taken leave of absence. Like, he was already back home. So she's just like, should I do the same for him? And Cecil's just telling her, like, look, both of our boys are different. I think that Michael's going to be just fine. So they all pull up to the school, and we see them setting Michael up in his dorm, and they're just joking around. Michael's talking about how he can't wait to get some action in his dorm room. And Simone's like, what do you mean, son? And he's like, sexual, Mom. And they're just cracking up laughing. I really do like the relationship that she has with Michael, because they really have a good time. You can see that Simone's getting emotional while she's getting him ready, setting up the dorm. She's trying to hide it, but she kind of is like, I don't want my boy to go. So then they go out to eat, and Simone's trying to give Michael some pep talks and some advice about how to handle his 4 years there. And he's pretty much like, Ma, I just can't wait for y'all to leave, okay? Like, y'all, you doing all this, but I'm ready for y'all to hit the road, Jack, so I can get it started. So now they leave the restaurant, and it is time for them to say goodbye to Michael. And Michael and Simone share a very emotional hug. She's really sad because she's just like, you know, who's going to say I love you now and give me the hugs and kisses? And it's like, girl, your husband and your other son don't say I love you and give you hugs and kisses? Y'all, I come from a very affectionate home, so it's kind of foreign to me when I hear that people grow up not hearing I love yous or getting hugs on the daily. Because I just have always thought that that was normal. I thought that everybody, you know, said I love you, or their parents said I love you to them, and there was hugs and kisses going around. So when she said that Michael was the only one who really does that, I was kind of like, well, Cecil and Miles better get on board and start telling you that they love you and giving you hugs and kisses, okay? It can't just be all on Michael. But I digress. So we see Michael go on off to his dorm room. He says goodbye to them. They get in the car. And that is the end of the episode. Again, it was a solid episode. Let me know what you all thought. As always, thank you all for watching. And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And purchase a fabulous But I Digress coffee mug. Again, all of the information to purchase one is down in the description box below. And I will see you all later. Bye, guys.